Okay, V'Shem Hashem, we're on page 12, but we're going to go back of one line on page 22, Yud Aleph Amud Bet. Second line from the bottom, Zot Omeret Berachot En Ma'akavot Zu Et Zu. And this is actually the halacha that if you skip one of the blessings of the Shema, like Yotzer HaMeorot, you could still say Ahavat Olam. They don't hold each other back. If you say that they would have said Yotzer HaMeorot, that's what it means. The brachot are not holding each other back. And just because you miss one doesn't mean you miss the whole boat. Just because they didn't say Ahava Rabbah, they could still say Yotzer HaMeorot and Ga'al Yisrael. Ela Imrat, now we're at the top of page 12, Yud Bet. Ela Imrat Ahava Rabbah Have Amri. My Berachot En Ma'akvut Zu Et Zu. If you would consider to say that they would say Ahava Rabbah, so Rashi explains, Hach berachat amra Ahava Rabbah, hech yishma min aden berachot zu et zu. Dilma ata, hay de lo amri yotzer or, mishum dilma. Maybe the reason they didn't say Yotzer HaMeorot because it was before dawn, and you can't thank God for that. So Gemara says, Dilma hay de lo amri yotzer or, mishum de lo mata zman or. Gemara says, well, that's a reason. They were saying it so prematurely before dawn that it's not appropriate to thank God about light if the sunrise hasn't come yet. Mishum delom zman or it's not the time for the bracha of Yotzer Or. Beginning of the fourth line, V'chi matezman Yotzer Or have amru. Maybe they would say it not in order because they would say Ahava Rabbah first because there was no light. Then they would say Yotzer Or. So it's no proof. V'hi mechlach my. And it says if there was a general rule, Rashi says the Amar lav beferushit marhab shaper lamashma michadu yotzer or ka'amri mashanin and leka lamashma mihachadil malolam ema avaraba. Gemara says it's inconclusive whether they said yotzer or avaraba, because it says maybe they only said Ahava Rabbah. So you can't, the conclusion Rashi says is we can't learn from here the halacha that if somebody by mistake forgot to say one bracha, he forgoes saying all the brachot. That is not evident from here. But, because it's possible, Seder Berachot, it's always possible that they had a very busy day, the Kohanim, they would start saying Ahava Rabbah first, because there was no light, and then they would do a switcheroo from the way we do it. So, the halacha is, the Shulchan Aruch said, Seder Berachot en ma'akvut she'em mikdim shniya l'rishona yatzeh l'chovat berachot. If some reason you're spaced out and first you say Ahava Rabbah, then you say, oh, I forgot to say Baruch Atah Hashem Yotzer Or V'Choshech Yotzer HaMeorot. Don't worry, you could switch the order, and that's halachically acceptable. You don't lose out because you didn't follow the proper order of the Sidur and the Chachamim. Okay, beginning of line. The Korin Aseret HaDibrot, Shema v'Hayim Shamoa v'Yomer Emet v'Yatziv v'Avodah v'Irchat HaKohanim. The Kohanim, the way they would pray is they would say the 10 Commandments, all the parshas of the Shema, and say Emet v'Yatziv, the bracha of Ga'al Yisrael, and say the bracha of Retzeh Hashem, which is the bracha right before Modim, and then they would say Birkat Kohanim. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel af b'gvulim bikshu likrot ela shekvar bitlu mipnei tarum utaminim. Really, the backbone of Judaism, the Torah of course has 613 commandments, but the backbone of Judaism is the 10 commandments. So they wanted to incorporate that in our prayers even outside of the temple. but they didn't mipnei ta'arumot haminim, because there was heretics, which unfortunately we even have in our own Iranian Persian Jewish community, that are very foolish and say the only Torah is the Ten Commandments. The rest you don't need to keep. So this was such a terrible. The Chachamim were so upset about people that would say such a thing that they canceled out. They didn't let us say the Ten Commandments altogether because they didn't want to give the notion that the only authentic Torah is chas v'shalom, only the Ten Commandments. The Torah from the beginning of Bereshit till the Lamed of Leinei Kol Israel, from the beginning of Bereshit to Devarim, is verbatim from God. And it's all holy and it's all divine. And it's all from God, dictated word by word to Moshe. It's all heavenly. So it's unfortunate. By the way, the Shlach Kadosh says that privately, it's very good to say it every day and be reminded of the Ten Commandments. Because, by the way, Rav Hai Gaon, the poskim, the Mefarshim say that what's unique about the Ten Commandments is that it's like an outline. You could connect all the 613 under each one of the Ten Commandments. The Yerushalmi happens to say something fascinating, that in the Shema, like it says, Lema'an yirbu yemechem v'yemei menechem, the Yerushalmi says that's alluding to honoring your parents. So even though we don't say the Ten Commandments, if you go read the Yerushalmi, different parts of Shema are alluding to each one of those 10 commandments. Because why do you get a long life if you honor your parents? You could have kavanah to remember the 10 commandments when you say the third paragraph of Shema, which is the smallest paragraph of Laman Yirbu Yemechet. So it says, Tanya nami hachi Rab Natan omer b'gvulim b'kshu likrot ken ela shekvar bitul mitarnot aminim. So again, the same idea that they were going to say the 10 commandments in our prayer, but since, like we explained before, they were worried that the heretics will say this is the only part of the Torah that's true, they canceled it. Rabba Bavarchana Savar Lemikvir Besura Amar Le Rav Chisa Kvar Bitulum Tarumot Aminim. Ameimar Savar Lemikvuna Benaharda Amar Rav Ashi Kvar Bitulum Tarumot Aminim. Different rabbis, Rabba Baruchana and Rav Chizda, they wanted to incorporate it in their prayers in their prospective cities of Surah. And Ameimar wanted to incorporate it in the Sidur of the city of Naharda, but Rav Ashi and Rav Chizda reminded their colleagues that we publicly, so make no mistake, the Shlach HaKadosh, it's Holy of Holies, the Ten Commandments. A lot of people hang it up in their house. That's all good. We don't incorporate it in our private prayer, in our public prayers. Privately, you could say it 100 times a day. You could remember it. It's good to say it. It's good to read it every day. 100% kosher v'yosher, and it's highly recommended, the Shlach says. V'shabbat musifin beracha echad lemishmar hayotzeh. The Kohanim would change shifts, and a new group of Kohanim would come to serve on the temple on Shabbat. They would bless each other. The one that was leaving would welcome and give a blessing to the new shift. And what would they say? My bracha echad. What was the blessing they would say? Amar Rav Chelbo mishmar hayotzeh omer limishan nechas. The people exiting would tell the people that are entering, Misha shachan shemo bebayit hazeh yishkon bebenechem ahava v'achva v'shalom v'reut. The God that is holy presence, divine presence in this house, should bring amongst you Kohanim brotherhood and peace and friendship. We said, Makom sha'amru laharich. So when the rabbi said you say a long blessing, you can't abbreviate it. When they abbreviate it, you can't add your own words and make it long. Gemara says, Pshita, this is elementary. Beginning of the line. Heicha dekanakit kisa dechamra biyade v'kasavar deshchera upatach u'mavarach adaita deshchacha v'sem u'chad echad yatsa. Now we're getting into a sugya, which is a little bit complicated, but basically if somebody was spaced out, he was holding Heicha dekanakat kisa dechamra. He was holding a cup of wine. And he thought it was beer. when he said God's name, he thought the bracha was shahakol. When he said God, Yud Kei Vav Kei, Amonai's name. V'siyam b'dechamra, but he ended all wells that ends well. He ended the bracha with hagefen. So that's elementary that he was yotze the bracha because he ended it off on the right way. Even if he would have said shahakol, he would have been okay. Because right, we're allowed to say shahakol ni'ebid baro on anything, on water, on bread. Anything, a fruit, a vegetable, anything, bread. If you say shahakol, b'diavad, in the most basic, and you fulfilled the mitzvah on a basic level, not on the ideal level. Our question is like this. Let's say you were holding really a cup of what? Beer. And you thought b'kasavar chamrehu, and you thought by mistake it was what? Wine. When you said the bracha on the beer, when you said God's name, you thought it was what? Wine. But you ended up fixing yourself and saying shahakol on the beer. So our quandary is so. My batar ikar bracha azlinan or batar chatima azlinan? Since when you said God's name, you thought you were blessing him on something else, maybe you shouldn't be yotze? Or maybe since you ended off well, all's well that ends well, and this bracha is acceptable. And you don't need to say a second beracha. So Tashema, come in here. Shachrit patach b'yotzer or v'siyim b'ma'aravim aravim lo yatsa. Patach b'ma'ariv aravim v'siyim b'yotzer or yatsa. It's very clear that if you were spaced out in the morning and you said Baruch Atah Hashem Yotzer Or, you said the bracha, the beginning of the bracha appropriately, but you ended off with the bracha of night of Ma'ariv Aravim. It's not accepted. You have to go and say the bracha from beginning, the bracha of Shema. But the opposite, if you in the morning you started Ma'ariv Aravim and you ended up good, you're Yotze. If you ended up the bracha with Yotzer HaMe'orot. So what basically we're trying to say here, the summary of what we're trying to say is that all's well that ends well. Even if you started the bracha with the wrong time frame, as long as you ended it off right, it's good. For example, Arvit patach b'marav aravim v'siyem b'yotzer lo yatsa. If an Arvit, you started off the right way, but you ended off with Yotzer HaMe'orot, since you ended off wrong, you're not Yotze. Patach b'yotzer or v'siyem b'ma'aravim aravim yatsa. But, opposite, at night, if you started off with the bracha of the day and you ended off with the bracha of the night, you're right. Klalosh davar, the general rule is, hakol holech ach ba'atar hachatum. Everything goes by what? The ending. So if you ended it off well, even if you started off with the wrong words, it's okay. So maybe we could prove here, in our case also, since you ended it off right, it's okay. Gemara says, no, you can't compare the two. We're on the right, wide lines now. Shani hatam de ka'amar baruch yotzer hame'orot. So Rashi says, Shani hatam kelomar dilma peticha eno klum. V'adektani yatsa lifri shechazar v'chatam baruch yotzer hame'orot. Because since Yotzer HaMe'orot is saying the same thing as the beginning of the blessing, that's why you're Yotzer. But maybe by Shahakol, she'en chotem ba bebaruch u'peticha adaita devar b'regeven u'delo yatsa. But when you say Shahakol, it's not you're saying what was the original intention of Hagefen. So this could be different. Gemara says, "Hanichal Rav Damar Kol Baruch Hashem Ba'askarat Hashem Enu Beracha Shapir." This is acceptable. What you're saying, any bracha that doesn't have the name of God is not a bracha. That's acceptable. But according to Rabbi Yochanan, Damar Kol Baruch Hashem B'Shem U'Malchut Enu Beracha Ma'akel Meimar. What can we say according to Rabbi Yochanan? It says, Rashi says, Hechanafik mishum chatima, hainan malchut bechatima. According to Rabbi Yochanan, how would you be able to yotze? There's no melech haolam at the end. And the melech haolam that you said on the beer, you had in mind that you wanted to eat what? Wine. Gemara says, Ela kevan dama rabba barula kede laaskir midad yom balayla midad yam belom ki kama bracha umalchut meikar atravayu kamar. So it says, in the bracha of Shema, when you say the right thing at the end, anyways, at night and morning, we both have to talk about God's energies of light and darkness, whether it's night or day. So Rashi says, Ela kevan da'amar ela lo tema mishum chatima yatsa ela peticha ma'al yatahi ve'lo tivshat minei lechamra v'shechra. We can't compare these two, Rashi says. It's apple and oranges. Since anyways, by our beat, we talk about morning, the rays of sun, and by darkness, and by morning we talk about night. That's why you're Yotze, because you're mentioning they're interchangeable. They're both important, crucial to be part of each bracha. So from here we can't bring a proof, Rashi says. Let's bring a new proof. Tashema miseifa. Let's bring a proof from the end of the brisa. Klalo shel davar hakol holech achar hachatum. Bottom line is, if you end it off well, it's okay. So maybe here also, since you ended off with saying shahakol, even though the beginning you thought that this cup was wine, you're good because you ended it off well. My atalameimar klalosha davar latuye mai. My love latuye adam rinan. Doesn't it come to include our case that as long as you ended off with the right bracha of shahakol, even though when you said God's name, it's not a problem? Gemara says no, it rejects it again. Stubborn Gemara. It says no, it's coming to tell us a case of Nahama v'tamra. A case of bread and not figs, dates. Gemara says, hey chidami, what's this case of figs? I'm sorry, dates and bread. Ilay madachal nahama v'kasavar de tamra. This person must have been really spaced out. The person is eating essentially what? Bread. He's eating a piece of bread and he thinks that it's, when he said God's name, the Yud Kei Vav Kei name of God, he thought that it was dates. So it says, Achal v'patach adaita de tamri v'siyam de nahama. Hainu be'en. So it says, Echadami, ilay madachal nahama kasaber de tamra. Achal patach adaita de tamra v'siyam de nahama. Hainu be'en. So it says, in the middle, even though in the beginning you thought you were eating dates, but essentially you ended off with hamotzi, so that's good. Lo sricha kegon da'achal tamri because I'm nama. No, the case is the opposite. You thought you essentially are eating a piece of a fig, but you thought that it was bread. Patach bedahama, when you said God's name, you thought that you were saying hamotzi. Besim betamra yatsa, and it's coming to tell you that even if you said borei peri ha'etz, you're yotze. Dafilu sim bedahama nam yatsa, because even if you say hamotzi on dates, you were yotze. This is not the halacha, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm 99.9% sure this is not the halacha. You cannot say hamotzi. But the Gemara, in this theoretical part of the Gemara is saying, my timer, why would that be acceptable? The tamri nami mezin zaini. Because it's a fascinating thing how healthy dates are, that they also satiate you. So from here, we do not have any conclusive conclusion to the halachic thing, but if you look at Tosfot, Tosfot says that I'm going to read Tosfot for you. Pirish Rav Alfa's Hashta the law. So the Alfasi, the Rif, which one is the pillars of halacha, says, now that we don't have any conclusion, if at the beginning of the bracha you said the wrong thing, Safek Berachot lekula. So even though you thought something was when you on a cup of wine, by mistake you thought it was beer, and you said Hashem's name by shahakol, and you ended up with porei bria gefen. This is the halacha, I believe, that we follow, that we concur with the Rif. And if you look at Tosfot, Divrei Maskal Lola Asuye, Patach Bechamra V'Sim Be'Bezacha, you're yotze. So you Safek Berachot La'akel. We don't say bracha again, you're yotze. Okay, Amar Rabba Bar Chana Mishmei Derav Kol Shalomar Emet Ve'Yatziv Shachrit Ve'Emet Ve'Emunah Arvit Lo Yatsa Yedei Chovato. It's very important. Integral part of Shema and its blessings is to say the bracha of Emet Ve'Yatziv Ve'Kayam, the bracha of Gal Yisrael. And if you don't, the Shulchan Aruch says you didn't do the mitzvah perfectly, the mitzvah of Shema. Why? Shneemar lahagid baboker chastecha ve'emunatcha belelot. We always have to talk about God's great faithfulness to us. And Rashi says, "Ubirkat emet v'yatziv kulal chesed im avotenu hayotzim." We always have to remember how kind and gracious God is to us, and therefore you always have to say the bracha of Emet V'Yatziv, that we remain, God took us out of Egypt and He split the Red Sea for us, and so on and so forth. Amar Rav Chanan Mishmei the Rav Hamitpalel Kishu Korea Baruch U'Kizokev Zokef B'Hashem. So when the proper way of praying is like this: when we say Baruch, we have to bend down. And also, when we say Baruch Atah, and when we say God's name, we shouldn't be on the down. We should be what? Erect, straight. Why? Amar Shmuel, my time of the Rav, Tichtiv Zokef Hashem L'chol Kefufim. We say in Tehillim that God makes the bended straight. So in Baruch, you go down. Atah, you're on the way back up, but Hashem, you have to be standing straight. Meisvei mipnei mi shenachathu umiktiv b'shmi b'fnei shemiktiv. So we ask a question here that it's mashma there when God's name is said, you're down. Amar leShmuel Rab Chia ta ve'emalach milta ma'al yada amar avicha hachamar avalach keshu koreh baruch shu zekev Hashem. Yes. When are you down? That's when you're blessing God. But when you want to say God's name, that you have to be back up. To be continued.